only DNVR. Two goes out to Zach, Mase, Arcade at the bar. Three for Mr. B in that old trophy case. None supposed to wait for, well, bring on the chase. Out on the field at Mile High, Broncos win is our desire. Coupled with Breck, Brew and a friend, bleed orange and blue to the bitter end. Come and join us, DNVR. We are DNVR.
Welcome into the DNVR Broncos podcast on this terrific Thursday, really giving me Friday vibes, game day vibes. We're almost there, and we're going to break down this entire game. But first, I'm your host, Zac Stevens, joined by my guys, Andrew Mason and Ryan Koenigsberg, and we are the DNVR Broncos crew. But before we hop into the show, I got to tell you about our presenting sponsor, MSU Denver Online, because over at MSU Denver Online, they are the new urban online university with learning outcomes equivalent to face-to-face courses, which is unheard of at other universities, but over at MSU Denver, they deliver. Whether you're online or on campus, it's all the same to them. Their students do just as well in their online courses as they do in person, so make sure to check them out. Strez knows what's up, wants to know about that online learning. And without further ado, my boys, what is up, my friends?
What's going on? Just another beautiful day. I just love the way that the vibes are in Broncos Country right now. I don't know how long this is going to last. I hope it lasts for a very long time, but this is the first time in a long time that I can remember a bit of peace and harmony in Broncos Country throughout the week. I'm sure there's little squabbles going on here and there that I'm not seeing, but it feels like everyone's, taking a break from being at each other's throats to just enjoy the fact that the Broncos are, 1-0 right now.
Yeah, they're freaking out over Cortland Sutton. I put a video up of Sutton going through a foot placement drill, and people are freaking out about that. And look, we know Sutton's not all the way back, but it's okay. I mean, when you're trying to work your way back and you're working on placement, you're going to put a little bit more oomph into it and be a little bit more stop-start the way he was. But if that's the only crisis among fans in Broncos Country, then we're in much better shape. I would say probably the most harmonious point that we have seen since the early part of the 2017 season, when it looked like Trevor Siemian might be the guy.
Mase, I have to. Well, I love the Trevor Siemian reference in the first 4 minutes of the show.
That was
thank
for
you for
Zach.
that. Thank you. And I have to ask, when you put that video out there, did you know it was going to scare people? Because you presented it without comment.
No, I mean, I was just putting up I put up a ball protection drill. I really did not think it was going to be explode like that. And then we have a meeting right after that, and then it's just all over the place. And then finally, I'm okay. I got to explain this here, but this is.
I'll tell you what. If Cortland Sutton is running like that, then he will not be running, because that would be very bad.
I mean, look, we know he's not 100%, and he's not all the way back. And other guys did go through that smoother, but it's he wasn't listed on the practice injury report, so there you go.
I just had like a great visual while I was reading the responses of Cortland Sutton like running downfield for a 9 route, just hobbling,
right.
swinging the spare tire around.
I mean, that would just be like a broken kneecap having to run like that. And guys, we're starting off this Thursday with Friday vibes with a super chat. So let's get to it right now. Coming in from Logan, he says, "Sup boys, longtime listener. Let's say Teddy goes for 25 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, league average in yards, and a playoff berth. How much is he getting paid?"
What's league average? Like 3,500?
Sure, yeah, 3,700.
Yeah, it probably
maybe this year.
This would put him right around about a 98 rating. I mean, basically mid-tier.
I don't want to go down this road yet. I like just living in this honeymoon phase right now, where we just get to enjoy, what's going on.
And Ryan, that honeymoon phase right now is to the tune of 34 touchdowns and 0 interceptions with the best quarterback or the best QBR in the league at 97 or 95.7. That's a good world to live in.
Yeah, and this is where you would hope that George Paton just had a plan coming into the season. You can't, in my opinion, you shouldn't be swayed unless, Teddy Bridgewater takes you to a Super Bowl, or, heck, I could maybe be convinced, but with an AFC Championship game appearance. But
you better be.
Yeah, well,
I don't know. Don't forget the Jaguars Blake Bortles mistake after they went to the AFC Championship game.
Okay, but who was better throughout there? I mean, are you comparing Teddy to Blake? I've had a lot more trust in Teddy.
Yeah, I hope Teddy
career.
is better than Blake Bortles was, because Bortles was a lower mid-tier quarterback when the Jaguars made that run. If you're talking about 25 touchdowns, 10 picks, 3,800 yards, I mean, that's a good season, but it also brings you, the problem is if you give him a big contract that locks you in for 3 or 4 years, the problem is that puts you in the danger zone of kind of where the Ravens were for a few years after they gave Joe Flacco the big contract. A danger zone is paying elite money for average mid-tier quarterbacking. And so I'd be okay with $40 million over 2 years, but I really wouldn't be down for more than that right now.
Yeah, I was going to say my cap is probably at $20 million.
Well, and here's what you do, Mase. I mean, that's the perfect contract for him, because then you also draft a rookie quarterback in the first round next year. You try to trade up to get your guy, or if your guy falls to you, you take him in the first round. And Teddy's your starter next year. He keeps you competitive. If he starts to fade off in the middle of the year, boom, rookie goes in, and there you go. You're set. You're ready to ride off into the sunset. It's exactly what the San Francisco 49ers are doing. They have a $25 million quarterback in Jimmy Garoppolo. They're happy to start him this year because they think that they're a playoff team, but they're still even incorporating Trey Lance right now. So, Logan, that is a fine scenario and a good scenario for the Broncos this year, and it gives them stability. It brings that winning culture. Teddy's obviously a great guy in the locker room. There's no question about that. Taking young guys like KJ Hamler under his wings, but that wouldn't be the end result there. I mean, yeah, the worst thing you could do is get locked up in a 4-year, $100 million contract. If it's 2 years, $20 million, let's say 25 guaranteed. That second year, when you move on to what would be a second-year player then, you only have $5 million that you have to eat for Teddy, and that's totally fine.
Desmond Ridder, baby. We're talking about mid to late 20s. You have a nice playoff run, and you have a quarterback marinating behind Teddy. Desmond Ridder from Cincinnati would be really good.
I don't know, Mase. Sam Howell may be that type of guy.
Yeah, although it was interesting, they at North Carolina, they welcomed some scouts this week, and apparently Kevin Colbert, the GM of the Steelers, was there. And we know they're looking at a long-term quarterback need with Roethlisberger nearing the end. So maybe Howell ends up being a Pittsburgh Steeler.
Maybe.
And in the comments here, CC says 10 to 12 million per year is what I'm looking at for Teddy. Well, you better hope the Broncos go 1-16 if that's what you're hoping to pay him long term.
And if he has a 2-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio and the Broncos make the playoffs, I mean, it's crazy, but this is the world we live in. You're starting at about $20 million.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, I mean, the Broncos are. This is a future problem, and again, that's why I say I'd rather just live in the now, in the honeymoon phase, where we're just talking about the Broncos potentially starting hot and maybe making a playoff run later. But it's going to get awkward if Teddy has a really good season. It just is, and it's what I was getting at is I would just hope George Paton had a plan before the season that says, hey, look, just about no matter what happens, I'm sticking to my plan for the future of the quarterback position. I'm not going to be swayed by Teddy Bridgewater having a good season, and start to think about paying him, $100 million over 4 years.
Really quick, DBA says $20 million seems high for Teddy. That's what he signed 2 years ago. So he'll be like 3 years removed from that contract. He'll think 20 million sounds low. But guys, we have some other people in the comment section who are saying, do you have a prediction about the Jags? And Ryan, you want to live in the moment right now. So let's talk about this game. Mase and I broke down the 5 key things that the Broncos need to do. And Ryan, to kind of give you a recap of it, they were all very basic things because the Broncos are the better football team here. And when you're the better football team, you just need to play football how football is supposed to be played and not beat yourself, not lose this game. And in my opinion, it's crazy to say about a team that hasn't had a winning record since 2016, but these Denver Broncos are way better than this Jacksonville Jaguars team. So really, that's what this comes down to. Are the Broncos going to beat themselves? And so I ask you guys that question. Are the Broncos going to beat themselves?
I sure don't think so. This doesn't seem like a team that beats themselves. And that's really encouraging to me. I don't believe there were any penalties on the offensive line last week, which is super, super encouraging to me. Those are the types of things where, Zach, after the game, we talked a lot about margin for error. And I think the margin for error grows and shrinks depending on what team you're playing. But last week, the margin for error actually existed. And they were able to get away with some things, but they also really didn't shoot themselves in the foot. You didn't have a big turnover. You didn't have a big special teams blunder. You didn't have drives starting off with 10-yard penalties on the offensive line. You didn't have false starts in 3rd and 1. Those sort of things that just kill you as a football team. And so for me, that was one of the more encouraging things, regardless of the opponent, that the Broncos are really like on their P's and Q's in that game. And I think if they do that in this game, they're going to be just fine. So I really don't see, this being a team that struggles to stay away from beating themselves.
Yeah, and you mentioned that they didn't make those mistakes, and the Giants did. Now turnovers, it was even, of course, because you had the Albert O fumble that really shouldn't have been a lost fumble because the knee was out of bounds. We all know that. And then Daniel Jones had the fumble, so one hand kind of washed the other there. But you have to. I think you can expect the Jaguars, young team, new coach who seems in over his head, new quarterback who doesn't seem in over his head but seems like a rookie quarterback. I think you can expect them to make mistakes. Now, there's going to come a time where your margin for error is going to shrink. But that being said, guys, looking back at the Giants game, even though because the Broncos didn't make those mistakes, they won comfortably. But it's not hard to envision that game, if one or two things go differently, being much different, even though the Broncos were up by 20 points in the fourth quarter. So I don't think they're at the point where they can afford to lose their edge and not be on guard for preventing mistakes, because if let's say Jones fumbles, but the Broncos don't recover it. I mean, that was a key moment in the game. There were a couple other moments where you could say, okay, that's where it turned. So Denver, it was a resounding win, but not out of the woods yet of being able to put themselves in a bad situation, even against a bad team.
And this is a perfect super chat coming in from Taylor. He says, I don't know about harmony. I woke up from a nightmare this morning where the Broncos got upset by the Jags 28-7. Guys, does this game smell like an upset to you, or am I just overreacting? And I think from what Mase and RK said, I'm going to agree with both of them. I think it was a nightmare, and nightmares you hope aren't real. So Taylor, I don't think that's going to be real. And when we talk about teams beating themselves, guys, when I look around the NFL right now, I don't think there's a team around the NFL that's going to beat themselves more, at least in week 2, than the Jacksonville Jaguars. So not only are the Broncos going to have to beat themselves to lose this game, but they're going to have to beat themselves more than the Jacksonville Jaguars beat themselves this game. Look at just all the turmoil going on down there in Jacksonville. I mean, their head coach is already, there's questions on if his head is in the game and if his heart's in the game right now. There's questions on if he's going to take the USC job today. Literally, I mean, Thursday was the big day for that job. And there's some, Trevor Lawrence just came off his first game in his career where he threw 3 interceptions. Oh, and by the way, guys, this Jacksonville Jaguars team It's not a coincidence why they had good quarterback play for Gardner Minshew last year and still only won one game. It's because they're a very bad team. On offense, they're going to have flashes. They may have a flash this week against the Broncos defense. Trevor Lawrence is probably going to make some wow plays, but their defense, guys, oh my goodness, is it bad. And while the Broncos defense of 2015, we haven't seen that incredible defense since then from the Broncos, the Jacksonville Jaguars defense that was really good, that brought Blake Bortles to an AFC championship game, that is exploded. That is completely gone, guys. They are terrible against the pass. They are terrible against the run. They just allowed the Houston Texans to drop 30 on them. And not Deshaun Watson, Houston Texans, Tyrod Taylor, Houston Texans, the team that everyone was laughing at them this entire offseason. They just not only allowed them to beat them, put up 31 points. Guys, this is a game where, man, if the Broncos get trapped into this game, well, shame on everyone in the organization, because the Broncos aren't good enough to get trapped in a game. No team should be getting trapped in week 2.
No. Yeah, I love what you said there. First of all, trap games shouldn't exist in the National Football League. I get it in college when you've got a bunch of kids playing football, and maybe they've got a top 5 matchup coming the week after, and they've started to let their minds wander to, oh man, what if we can beat whoever they've got on the schedule. This is the National Football League, and these guys know, they should know that the guys on the other side are getting paid a lot of money. Actually, probably this is almost the same amount of money that they're doing to beat them, just the way that you're getting paid to beat the other team. So there should be no such thing as a trap game. And usually a trap game comes when there's another big matchup on the other side of this. Well, on the other side of this, you got the lowly Jets at home. So you shouldn't be looking forward to that one, even though Vic Fangio did it already. But, Zach, you mentioned all the turmoil in Jacksonville. And you said that Urban Meyer had to answer questions about the USC job. I actually take issue with the way you phrased that. He didn't take a question at all. He got the answer served on a platter. The way that was phrased drove me crazy. Hey, just want to give you a chance to refute the report that you might be interested in the USC job. I'm like, what are we doing here?
I didn't even know that.
Exactly. Do we know who asked that? Because
it sounds like it was the PR. Head of PR.
I mean,
she's having a rough week on Twitter this week.
Yeah, that was one step away from Mr. Burns. Your campaign has the momentum of a runaway train. Why are you so popular? I mean,
yeah, exactly.
I couldn't believe it when I heard it, and that's probably why, on some level, they did not want Urban Meyer doing a conference call with media based in the Pac-12. Oh, by the way, the question I would have asked would have been about, hey, what do you think of Steve Adazio so far, Urban?
I would have told them no one that covers the Broncos gives a damn about the Pac-12, except and I wouldn't have been on the call.
Oh, I so wanted to ask him about Adazio. That is a train wreck right now.
Yeah, Urban. So your buddy that you sent up here, not doing so hot. Were you trying to screw them over, or are you just not smart?
Urban, do you think you're going to have a better record after 6 games than Steve Adazio? You're setting your win total at 1.5.
Oh God! Like I said, I'm not even getting that much enjoyment out of how bad Steve Adazio is.
Yeah, it's sad. But it's not sad for the Broncos playing Jacksonville Jaguars this weekend, guys. We should just dive into our picks right now. Let's get into our Broncos picks for this game. Broncos, look at that fancy little graphic. Broncos 6-point favorites for this game, but we'll just pick it straight up. And guys, I'll start. I'm going blowout. I'm going 30-13.
No, you stole my score.
No way.
Yes.
I think that this is an easy Broncos win. In fact, it may look very similar to last week where the Broncos are up 30-6, 30-7, 30-10, and then the Jaguars get a field goal, maybe literally with time running out, just like the Giants did. But the Broncos are still easily going to cover this spread. And then, guys, we're going to be saying not only are the Broncos winning games, but they're winning games exactly how they should be.
All right, you're gonna make me change my score here. That's exactly what I was going to say, and I don't want to say the same thing as you. So I'm gonna say 34-17. Predicting the Broncos to score 30 points is an interesting thing that we're both doing here, considering it hasn't happened a lot. But man, like the offense, I really liked the way they moved the ball. I really liked the trust they had in Teddy. I hope they continue going for it on fourth down because I think this is a team that is just they're prone to stall in the red zone. So you have to be if you're willing to give them 4 opportunities to convert a first down, then they're going to convert a lot more. So that that's something I'll keep an eye on. I know Vic Fangio was pretty desperate last week. I don't know if he's feeling a little more comfortable in his seat at this point and maybe goes back to being a little more conservative because the Broncos shouldn't have to go for 2 to win this game. But I think if they're going to blow them out, they're definitely going to need, or sorry, not go for 2, but go for it on fourth down. They're going to have to do those sort of things if they want to blow them out. And I think they should want to go for the throat. You watch a lot of these college games early in the season, and when they get a 4th and 1, even if they're up 21, in the first half, they want to go for it and just try to put the nail in the coffin. I think that's the way they should approach this one. Bummer that Jerry Jeudy's not going to be out there, obviously, and I'm interested to see how that affects the offense. But all that said, I'm still going to predict them to score a bunch of points and not allow the Jags to do so.
Well, I love it. And Mase, be really quick, Mase, before we get your picks, I want to get everyone who's watching this, I want to get their picks. So if you're watching on Twitter, jump over to YouTube, hit us with the like, and then also drop your picks in here. We're getting a lot of people giving their picks, and I want to get to those right after we hear from what Mase thinks is going to happen.
Well, since week 1 of last year, guys, the Jags have never failed to allow at least 20 points. The last 3 games, they've allowed at least 30, or last 5 games, they've allowed at least 30 points 4 times. So if you don't score 30 on these guys, you're doing something wrong. I'm going with the Broncos getting 31. That, by the way, is exactly what the Jaguars have given up on average since the start of last year. Broncos get 31. Jaguars with a late window dressing touchdown, much like the Giants had last Sunday, gets 17, 31-17 final.
Okay, so interesting, guys. You both are taking the over, which is set at 45.5. I'm just taking the under. I think this comes down to, exactly what the Broncos defense is going to do, because I think the Broncos offense is certainly going to do their part in hitting the over. And it's just how much can they squeeze Trevor Lawrence and just keep him down. And guys, the Houston Texans manhandled the Jacksonville Jaguars last week. I think they were up 35-7 at one point or something like that. And then the Texans the Jaguars built some momentum. I put in air quotes, really just, played from behind and got garbage time points in order to make it 21 points. That could easily happen again. And guys, I'm looking at all of these listeners chiming in. Most of them, 90% of them, are double-digit point wins here. I don't see anyone that says the Broncos don't cover the spread. Yeah. Everyone, even the closest one we have, 21-10. We have another that's from Will, 29-21. Even that still covers the spread. Everyone thinks they're covering the spread.
We got a 28-24 coming in from Brandon J, who says he's a Jags fan. But I'll tell you, if I
welcome to the pod.
Yeah. Love having you on.
Hell yeah.
But here's the thing. If I were viewing this from a distance and I see a 6-point home underdog, I'd be a little wary here. I mean, I think now we see the Broncos. We've watched the Jags-Texans game. We've seen, and I watched Trevor Lawrence, his preseason work as well. I'm comfortable saying the Broncos cover the spread, but if you didn't watch these two teams and you just saw +6 at home, you'd be like, oh, wow, I think I'm going to ride the home team on this one to make it close at least.
Well, but Mase, but then you look and the Broncos weren't good last year, but you look and just see how bad the Jacksonville Jaguars were. I mean, 1-15. Mase, and you pointed out yesterday, their last win was over a year ago in week 1 of last year. This is a team that is riding, a 16-game losing streak right now? Yikes. So, sure, you can see that, but then this is something that you also see. And Will makes a good point. He says Vegas is projecting the Broncos win 26-20. And guys, to me, is there such thing as a bad win, an ugly win right now in Broncos country?
Yeah, I mean, we shouldn't be choosy about it, but I promise you, if that's the score, we won't be doing a hype cast after the game.
Unless, I mean, I think we might, here's what we might say. If it's 26-20, then
26-13 or 20, something.
Yeah. If it's like a 6-point win, then how did that happen? Did that happen because Bridgewater came back to earth? Or did that happen because the number 1 overall pick made some plays against a secondary missing that maybe was missing Ronald Darby, and Pat Surtain had some good moments, but had some rookie moments as well. So that's what I think we might be saying. If they win, but it's closer than expected, I think one of the things that we'll be saying is, wow, Trevor Lawrence, he's going to get there. He's going to be special. That's probably why it happens.
I've got I don't know if this is a 50-yard field goal, or if we're still doing those this season.
Kick it, baby.
I've got Pat Surtain picking off Trevor Lawrence.
Because they've only played once. And it was unfortunate for Pat in Alabama. Clemson absolutely destroyed him his freshman year. This would be a nice little payback. I don't think it would be 100% payback yet.
But is it a throw to Chark or Visca?
Yeah, interesting. Man, what a tough matchup. I think they probably will have Pat Surtain on Laviska.
Yeah.
And that'll be a fun one to watch. I'm sure Visca will get the ball one way or another, but I do think that at some point Pat Surtain gets him, and Broncos fans get to have their whole thing about how he picked off the number 1 overall pick, and that'll be a fun one.
And shut down the CU guy. Now, why would you say he would be on Visca? Because Chark is pretty much their number 1 guy. Is that because the Broncos say, well, Kyle Fuller, you're our number 1 cornerback?
Yeah, putting Surtain on Chark, his first ever true start would be a tough ask. Now, I'm sure he'll match up with him at some point, but DJ Chark is like a really good NFL receiver. Yeah.
Whereas Chark,
Whereas Visca is just a freak. He's still got a lot of work to do in terms of just being a receiver. To where I think Pat Surtain also happens to be a freak. And you just go freak on freak, and let those two just battle it out. And I think, like I said, I think Visca will have a couple catches. I think he'll make a big play or two, but I do think Surtain gets him once.
Well, I like that, guys. And for we're just sticking with 50-yarders this week, so I'll stick with a 50-yarder, pretty easy one. I'm going to say, we'll step it back to 57. I'm gonna say that Melvin Gordon doubles his props for this game. He's at 42 and a half rushing yards. He's going to hit 90 yards in this game, guys. I wouldn't be surprised if both running backs hit 90 yards in this game. This defense, let me say it again, is terrible. The Broncos are going to be able to run the ball. They're going to be able to pass the ball. But I really think in this game, because they can do both, they're going to turn to the running game more than the passing game and just say, you guys take it home for us. Let's just pound this. Let's just run the clock out. Let's just win this game. But it's not going to be done at 3 yards at a time. It's going to be done at 6, 7 yards at a time, guys. I think Melvin hits his 42 and a half yards over at DraftKings Sportsbook in the first half. So maybe he doesn't truly double it up by the end of the game because they pull him. And maybe you're seeing Demaria Crockett out there in the fourth quarter, but this is going to be just a monster performance from both running backs on the ground.
Yeah, my 50-yard field goal, defensive touchdown.
Ooh, I like it, and it could be Pat Surtain.
Yeah, maybe it combines with mine.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say defensive touchdown in general. that that I don't know if it's going to be a strip sack fumble or Visca or Marvin Jones or DJ Chark fumbling and scooping and scoring or pick six, but one way or another, Broncos D takes it to the house.
I love it. I love it.
And Lawrence is not afraid to throw those, out routes to the sidelines, the outbreaking routes, which is exactly how, Pat Surtain got his the last time. So maybe that could be the way.
And guys, something that I love as well is catching the game at the DNVR bar. Unless you're going to Jacksonville like Mase is and you're going to be there for the game, you guys got to be at the DNVR bar to watch this, and we've got the perfect setup. We open at 10, earlier than anyone else, and then we will have not just the game on, of course, at 11, and you won't just be surrounded by tons of Broncos fans, but we've got the game sound, which, guys, is something that you don't get. It makes it the perfect atmosphere. It honestly feels like you're at like an interesting part of the stadium because the atmosphere is just so amazing. And we also open at 10 on Saturday for all of your college football games, so make sure to come to the bar. Check us out. We'll have DraftKings reps there every Saturday and Sunday handing out $10 drink tickets when you sign up on the Sportsbook app. And guys, also join our family over at thednvr.com where you get extra raffle tickets when you come and watch the games. You get all the benefits of us, and you also get to leave comments and support us, so we'd really appreciate it. And make sure to check out the bar this weekend.
Yeah, you missed the best part, though, Zach. If you show up at 10 a.m., you get to watch us do the tailgate.
Yeah.
We're doing it kind of like a live studio show for the people at the bar right now. Last year we were kind of in the corner. Now we face right out to everyone, so you can come in early, get a beer, and watch the show.
Ryan, don't worry. I said that yesterday, but with you on, I didn't want to make you blush. I know it's hot in Arizona, so you already got kind of that red in your cheeks.
I do, actually. Yeah, so when you come and watch the tailgate, you'll see us drinking beers, but a very specific type of beers. Damn good beers, of course, from our friends over at Breckenridge Brewery. Last week we had a little mismatch of some Strawberry Sky in the, in our customary bucket. There was a Mountain Beach in there, a couple Breck Lagers. Maybe we go with some seltzers this week. They have it all, and they're all just great Sunday football drinking beers. Of course, maybe more than any of them is that Broncos Country Hoppy Pale Ale. So check out Breckenridge Brewery. Get you some damn good beer so you can drink along with us on Sunday while you watch the Broncos.
All right. I don't know how I'm going to get through this without laughing, but I'm going to try. Because autumn is in the air. The pumpkins are in the patch, and our friends at Manscaped are here to make sure you don't carve your pants pumpkins. You're grooming. If you know what I'm saying, make sure you keep things fresh this fall with the leaders in male grooming and their brand new 4th generation performance package. Get ready for a cuffing season like no other. Ready to make the leap into fall with Manscaped. Join the 2 million men worldwide using it by going to manscaped.com for 20% off plus free shipping with that code DNVR. That performance package includes the Lawnmower 4.0. If you're looking to cozy up this fall, the trimmer is essential. The 4th generation trimmer features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology. Also gives you the ability to turn on the 4000K LED spotlight and turn it off when you need it for a more precise shave. Plus, it's waterproof, and it also includes the Weed Whacker. Just because it's autumn doesn't mean you're not going to have weeds still growing. So check out the Weed Whacker. Chop up those weeds in your nose and ear. Use a 9,000 RPM motor-powered 360-degree rotary dual-blade system. Wow. To provide proprietary skin-safe technology, preventing nicks, snags, tugs in those delicate holes. So check out the fall package at Manscaped and get 20% off and free shipping with the code DNVR at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping with the code DNVR at manscaped.com. Make your balls a priority this fall. Choose Manscaped, and your balls will thank you.
Great job, mate.
I'm sorry.
Best thing I've ever heard.
When I saw the pumpkin, I'm like, oh God, I'm not gonna make it through this.
Let's just if your pumpkins are orange though, go see a doctor, please.
Yes.
But you'll need to manscape. You'll need to manscape before that so they can see what you're talking about.
Oh my gosh.
Or maybe you just need a better spray tan.
Maybe.
Oh,
and guys, let's we just took a trip around our bodies. Let's take a trip around the AFC West now to talk about the other games in the AFC West. Look at us just taking a trip there. Wow, Ryan
got
gets
that seat on the wing. I love it.
Yeah, Ryan gets first class. What the heck is this, guys? I'm in the back.
Wow. It's Southwest. There are no classes.
Look at me. I'm the captain now.
Yeah.
Hey, and captain, we're in trouble with where you're sitting.
Zach's got the John McKay seat. When he coached the Bucks, he used to always say he always sat in the back. Most coaches sit in the front of the plane. He always sat in the back because, quote, never saw a plane go ass first into a mountain.
Wow.
God, John McKay was really a national treasure, wasn't he?
He was.
Oh, wow. Man, all right, let's jump into these games, guys. And you have the Las Vegas Raiders. Remember, the 1-0 Las Vegas Raiders going into Pittsburgh to play the Steelers. How do we like this game shaking out, guys? I'll start with Mase.
Well, I mean, the Raiders, we saw the firepower on display, and we saw their defensive line on display against the Ravens Monday night. And that D line might be what helps keep them out of mediocrity. Again, we know their offense is going to be good, but they can get a good pass rush going. That being said, you can argue that the Steelers have the best defense in football right now. All three levels, playing at a high level, shut down Josh Allen and company in Buffalo last Sunday. I'm actually getting 2015 Broncos vibes with these Steelers because Roethlisberger doesn't look like he has a lot left, but that D is powerful. So at home, in front of the Heinz Field fans, full house for the first time in a couple of years, I'm taking the Steelers.
It's funny that you said that, Mase. I thought that I was going to have the hot take, which is just that I think the Steelers are maybe the sneaky AFC team this year that can make a run. I felt those vibes last week. I took Steelers money line against the Bills, and they paid me off. I think that they're going to get off to a really hot start here for a lot of the same reasons that you mentioned. So I also have the Steelers. Despite the Raiders, they somehow always find a way to look better than we expect them to be early on in the season. So it wouldn't shock me if they found a way to win this one.
Yeah, and in Pittsburgh, I think this is just what gives it to Pittsburgh easily. And also, guys, the Raiders dealing with some injuries, just like the Broncos are early in the season. A late night on Monday night. This one, everything points to the favor of the Steelers. So I'm going Steelers. Raiders are going to be 1-1 and behind the Broncos. All right, our next game, we talk about the Los Angeles Chargers hosting the Dallas Cowboys. Ryan, how's this one play out?
Well, as we kind of have talked about here, as it relates to Justin Herbert specifically, I've been trying to tell people just because Justin Herbert is good does not mean the Chargers are good. And this is a perfect example of that. I think that, Justin Herbert will make his plays and, they'll put up some points and have some fun or whatever, but eventually the Cowboys score a few more than them and get the job done. So I've got Cowboys here.
Kind of a quasi-home game as well. I mean, it's in LA, but the Chargers are always going to have a lot of fans for the opposing team, and Dallas trains up the road in Oxnard. Dallas has always had a huge fan base out in Southern California, so that doesn't work in the Chargers' favor. What does work in the Chargers' favor, though, is DeMarcus Lawrence being out for the next couple of months with the injury he suffered in practice yesterday. And it might even be touch and go for Lawrence to be ready by the time the Broncos take on the Cowboys at Jerry World in November. But that's relevant for this game. I think Herbert's going to have the time to throw that he didn't always have facing down that rush in Washington last Sunday, although he handled it well, I thought. I'm taking the Chargers in this one.
Oh, Mase, I was really hoping you went with Ryan and went the Cowboys as well. But Mase, I think you said it, that injury, DeMarcus Lawrence, their best defensive player, not having him is really going to hurt going up against Justin Herbert. And I think there starts to be a little more juice and a little more fan support in SoFi Stadium for the Chargers, and I think you see that this week. I think Justin Herbert plays to the level of Dak Prescott this week, which maybe a couple years ago didn't sound like an endorsement on Justin, but after what Dak did last week, he's back. That's a big compliment there. So I'm going to say the Chargers beat the Cowboys at home. And guys, report just came out literally a minute ago that said DeMarcus Lawrence is going to be out 6 to 8 weeks, which which could very well impact him being on the field for the Broncos. And we went through the schedule last week, man. It gets tough with some games in that stretch. So that would be huge if he's not out there for the Cowboys when the Broncos play him.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and let's hit the final game in the AFC West, and of course, it is the final game on Sunday night. We've got the Kansas City Chiefs 3.5-point favorites going into Baltimore to face the Ravens. Guys, we talked about it. The Broncos could very well have a better record than the Chiefs after 2 or 3 games this season. Is that happening this week?
No.
Yeah, you're shaking your head. How confident are you in that?
I'm really confident, and maybe this is like my week 1 overreaction of the week or of the year. I don't know, but I really wasn't impressed with the Ravens, really any facet. Now I know they had their opportunities to win that game, and maybe if they find a way to win it in regulation, I'm not feeling this way, but they just didn't look good to me, like at football. So I'm going Chiefs, and I actually think the Chiefs steamroll them.
So you like that 3.5? Yeah, I'm right there with you. And then on top of that, Ryan, not only did they not look good, but then they had some injuries following the game as well. So this is one where, again, a late Monday night game. They had to travel back home after that Monday night game. The Raiders beat them down a long game. I did not like what I saw from the Ravens. And on top of that, they're already injured coming into last week's game. So I think the Chiefs are going to take off with this one. I do like a comfortable win, and I like the Chiefs to really show that, look, the Browns are a really good team, and that's why that game was close. It's not that we've regressed at all, and we're going to prove it to everyone on Sunday Night Football.
Yeah, the guy that I think maybe you keep your eye on here is Mecole Hardman, who did not have a great game for the Chiefs in week 1, but without Marcus Peters, you could see the drop off once you account for the domino effect in the secondary with the Ravens on Monday night. The other thing is also, even though the Ravens had a decent game on the ground, where you saw them lacking because of the injuries at running back was when you asked the running backs to be responsible for pass pro. And of course, the Chiefs, their defense can generate a pass rush, and if Lamar Jackson doesn't escape fast enough, you see things like what happened when Carl Nassib had that strip sack fumble in overtime. I think the Chiefs are just going to be too much for the Ravens. That being said, I do think the Ravens are going to be very dangerous when they come into Denver in week 4, and as Zach and I talked about earlier this week, quite possibly a very desperate team when they come to Denver in a couple of weeks, and that might throw a wrench into that game. But for now, I think the Ravens lose this one to the Chiefs at home.
Well, let's hope we're all wrong, guys, except for Ryan being right about the Cowboys over the Chargers. And the Broncos are 1 game ahead of everyone in the AFC West. Guys, tonight's game, really quick, it's a pretty terrible game. I mean, I think it'd be pretty interesting if Fitzpatrick was playing, but with him not playing, oh my gosh, what a sleeper. But I can't get a feel on this game. The Washington football team is the better team, and I don't think it's really even close. But do you really roll with Taylor Heineke?
Man, I don't know. What do you guys think?
I don't know. I have that's why I asked you. I just have no idea. But I guess I said it with the way I set up that question. The Washington football team, in my opinion, is no doubt better than the New York Giants. They were able to hang with the Chargers despite not having Ryan Fitzpatrick last week. So I can't believe I also, with this game, they're 3-point favorites. I mean, I can convince myself that Washington's a better team and you go with Taylor Heineke, but then it hits me that they're the favorites too. Oh, that's tough, but yeah, give me the better team.
Yeah, Taylor's still riding that wave of pushing the Bucs to the limit back in January when he was thrown out there. I mean, it doesn't mean he's a good quarterback, but is he good enough to keep you in a game if he's executing a scheme and trying not to make mistakes. Well, he probably is at this point. And then you also look at what Washington brings on defense, the kind of the discomfort they can put on Daniel Jones from their pass rush. And then even on the offensive side, kind of you look at the guys who did well last week. Terry McLaurin, any quarterback, no matter how mediocre they are, knows that just if you get the ball to McLaurin, you're going to move the chains. And also, a quarterback would know that with Antonio Gibson, who can catch pass out of the backfield, but had a nice game running the ball last week, that if you just set him up for success, he's going to be able to be electric and make some plays. So I think Heineke as long as he trusts Gibson and McLaurin in particular, he's going to be able to keep things on schedule. I think Washington wins comfortably tonight, guys.
Yeah, I love it. So we're all in step there, and
I never gave my pick.
Yeah.
You're going to be Mr. Devil's Advocate here.
I am. I think everything's coming up Broncos, and it will be a good look for the Broncos if the Giants go out there and get a win. I think the Giants on the strength of their defense finds a way to pull this one out.
Wow! And do we see Saquon look like Saquon?
I think he gets a couple passes that he opens it up with. So a screen, maybe like a little pop pass or something that he's able to get out in the open field. Their offensive line sucks, so it's going to be hard for him to ever look like Saquon trying to run the ball behind them.
And what was interesting about Saquon last week, guys, is that he only played 28 snaps. And on those 28 snaps, he was either the target or the ball carrier receiver on 13 of them. So, like, when he's out there, he's the focal point.
That's how it should be. That's absolutely how it should be. And you should throw passes to Devontae Booker because, man, his catch radius pretty darn impressive.
Yeah. He's going to catch it and, be down right where he can.
I thought you were going to say he's going to run into his the back of his own player or something.
Somehow, some way.
Or he's going to hurdle somebody and it's going to get called back for a penalty.
Oh, that was maybe the worst luck I've ever seen.
He had the worst luck in general on great plays being called back because somebody else screwed up when he was here.
Yep.
He really did.
It's prime time to that game. Oh, man. Well, guys, if you think you have good luck this week, you need to check out our friends over at DraftKings Sportsbook, and I'll hit you. It's not just me. It's the three of us. We'll hit you with what we think are some pretty good bets. Guys, we all unknowingly, or maybe knowingly, took the under on Jacksonville Jaguars team points. 19.5. We all had the under. We all took the over on Broncos team total points, 26.5. We all took the over. We all took the over on Broncos total touchdowns, over 2.5. And the one you may want to stay away from is Jacksonville's total. No, we all took the under on this one too. Jacksonville's total touchdowns at 2.5. We all went under as well. That just wettens the palate a little bit when you're over at DraftKings Sportsbook. Again, I'll give my DraftKings pick of the weekend right now. Melvin Gordon over 42.5 rushing yards. And guys, you can all DraftKings Sportsbook. And on top of that, if you bet $1 on any game this weekend, they'll give you $200 in free bets just like that you can use right away. And you bet those, you get the winnings. It's incredible. It's a great way to start off your account. So if you're looking to get in on the action, make sure to download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code DNVR to turn that $1 bet into $200 in free bets when you place a bet over at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Must be 21 or older. Colorado only. New customers only. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700.
Also, make sure you check out our friends over at Solace Meds, who have some awesome deals out there for you this month, as they always do. But the best thing about Solace Meds is they will let you parlay discounts, just like the way that our friends at DraftKings will let you parlay winners. So what you got here is 20% off Strains tinctures, 25% off Can America gummies, 25% off Rockin' cartridges, and 20% off Glacier concentrates. Then you go down there, you say, hey, I'm using the code DNVR20, and they'll say, oh, okay, there's another 20% off for you. And then they'll say, hey, and you also get a free Solace bar or king cone. So check that out because that is an insane deal. You just stack deal on top of deal on top of deal over at Solace Meds, and they've got 4 convenient Colorado locations in Fort Collins, Wheat Ridge, off of Broadway, and then one just blocks away from the DNVR bar on Colfax. Check them out, Solace Meds, SOLACE meds.com.
Also, check out the Colorado XOs over to Xfinity Park. They finished up their season at 5-5, which was a great start for this brand new team playing as professionals in rugby. They've been playing for years. And if you haven't heard of the Colorado XOs, they are Rugby Town USA's newest rugby team, and they're made up of athletes who have competed at the highest level of their respected sports. They come from backgrounds in football, basketball, baseball, soccer, track and field, wrestling, and possess the necessary athletic skills to excel at the game of rugby. And guess what? They're looking for more people just like the guys on their roster. So if you are an elite athlete and are interested in trying out for the Colorado XO program, contact the Director of Recruitment, Peter Pask. His email is PPASQUE at glendale.co.us. That's PPask, PPASQUE at glendale.co.us. And of course, our guy Colton Strickler has it all covered for you with the weekly DNVR Rugby podcast. You can follow him in the DNVR Rugby account to keep up with the latest news. You can learn about rugby with his Rugby 101 podcast. And of course, wherever rugby is going on, Colton's going to have some betting advice for you. So check out DNVR Rugby and that DNVR Rugby podcast.
Guys, we have a winner for the most odd comment of the week coming in from Logan Beaumont. I don't know where this comes from. Maybe you guys can help me with this, but he says, the avatars be like, RK, in quotes, I'll have her home by 9, sir. Zach, in quotes, I'll be home a few minutes late. Won't be a huge deal. Mace, he calls me daddy old man. She will be home when I say so. Where is this coming from? Do I not understand something?
Yes, you do.
Oh, our avatars. Yes. Oh, that is too good, Logan. I love it. Man, the comment section has been fantastic today. And speaking of fantastic comment sections, guys, let's hop into the comments on the website. And if you want to get these questions read, which they're always read, go to thednvr.com. Make sure you remember, hit the podcast tab at the top. Click on Broncos podcast. All of our podcasts that we've ever done, which is a lot. We've talked for a lot of minutes on this podcast in the history. But you click on the top one, scroll to the bottom page, and if you're a member, a comment section will magically appear. Leave your comment there, and we will read it on the next pod. But of course, don't leave any comments on today's pod because Sunday, too busy of a day. So we will get to every question that's left on Sunday's pod on Monday. And guys, let's just hop right into these. The first one is coming in from Steve is the worst. He says, my boys, what a way to start the season. We got to take care of business against these Jaguars. Time for PS2 and KJ Hamler to shine. PS, help me with your knowledge of the game and tell me if I should start KJ Hamler or Timmy P. Thanks for all you do.
You know what? Originally, I was going to say Tim Patrick, and I do think Tim Patrick is going to do well. But was it not eye-opening what KJ Hamler was saying about Teddy Bridgewater kind of literally asking for Hamler's locker to be relocated next to his? And the bond that those two are developing?
You know what that made me think of? The report that came out at one point, I actually think the report came from Philip Lindsay, that Case Keenum never talked to any of the other offensive players in the locker
room. About the opposite. Wait, wasn't it Devontae Booker that said like, when I passed him in the hall, he wouldn't say hi or something?
Yes, that was it. Like the following off season, I was like, oh my God.
Oh my gosh, yeah. He's like, who did that in? Was Joe Flacco? And then Booker's like, yeah, it's great when I pass the starting quarterback in the hallway. He says hi now.
I was like, oh my God, dude. How is Case Keenum so bad? I realized his book was already written, but geez, at least
Case stole $25 million.
Yeah, he really did.
He wasn't a bad guy. He just kind of failed at the human connection part of being a quarterback. Sort of
kind of a big part.
Yeah, it's kind of the exact opposite of Teddy Bridgewater, who might be a Hall of Famer in terms of human emotional connections that he makes with guys as the quarterback. But I mean, but even so, I mean, when you ask for a guy to have his locker next to you, it says a lot. It also says, I think, how much Teddy believes in KJ, and that's and part of why after the drop next series, third down, wasted no time going back to him near the sideline when he got space.
Yeah. I think that both of these guys are going to have a good few catches, but I've got Timmy toe taps in the end zone to get you a few more points there in fantasy.
Ooh, I disagree. I think KJ is getting in the end zone on a bomb. I think Teddy says, especially because I know he can beat these guys, we're going to hit him deep. So I think you have over 10 fantasy points from KJ on one catch. Now, I think he gets more than that, but I'm saying on one catch, you're going to outshine Timmy.
That's fair. I mean, it's going to be Timmy gets more yards or more catches. KJ maybe gets more yards because he has the explosive, like you mentioned, Zach.
Next one from Melbourne Bronco. He says, "Hi, guys. I got to say, every time I hear Teddy in an interview, I just love the guy more and more. Pretty sure Broncos everywhere are feeling the same."
100%. I mean, like I said, he's starting to win everyone over slowly but surely. Get a win this week, perform well, and I think most Broncos fans, just because they're so ready to love again, are going to be hopping on the Teddy train.
So what are you saying? He's like a 5, but because they're desperate, he looks like an 8. I mean, if they win, he's playing good. Maybe he just is an 8. Maybe an 8's an 8, Ryan.
I didn't say anything about him being a 5. I just said Broncos fans, right now they're still in the scared to get hurt phase, which is completely understandable. But deep down, they're ready to give their heart, and I think Teddy with one more good date could really win him over.
I'm having like a serious Elton John flashback. Don't go breaking my heart. That's Bronco fans.
Yep,
and
absolutely.
then Teddy's like, I wouldn't if I tried. I mean,
yep.
oh boy.
He's going to try not to.
Yes.
And you just hope that Teddy isn't a wild card, which brings us to our next commenter coming in from Wild Card. He says, "Hey, fellas, sorry if my question was a bit confusing yesterday, but I was trying to ask if you were more wary of the Raiders in general this season because they were able to beat a Baltimore team that you wrote off as almost a certain loss on our schedule. Okay, so are you more wary of the Raiders now that they've beat the Ravens?"
Yes, I mean, I think you just have to be a little bit more on your toes as it relates to the Raiders. But this is like the script for them. They play really well in the beginning of the season, and they tail off as other teams start to figure out what they like to do. So I think you have to be aware, but I don't think they're all of a sudden like some great team.
So then my question for you, Ryan, is you play the Raiders, which they're typically better at the beginning of the season. You play them at home at the beginning of the season. You play them on the road near the end of the season. Which one of those games scares you more? At home when they're typically playing better, or on the road when they're typically worse?
On the road. I mean, the Broncos just seemingly struggle on the road with the Raiders every time. So that's always going to be the one that scares me more. But I just mean as a team, when that late game comes around, we probably aren't going to be talking about the Raiders as a contender.
Right.
Yeah. The thing though, the thing that is kind of the wild card, pardon the pun on the name, but is that they had a huge home field advantage, I thought, on Monday night. That was first game in front of fans in Allegiant Stadium. But what if the Raiders do maintain that kind of emotional edge and that crowd ends up being one of the more hostile crowds and one of the more raucous environments in the NFL? I mean, if that's the case, then that's the kind of thing that might be the difference between 8-9 and 9-8 or 10-7 for this team.
Yeah, for
sure. That game's going to be really important.
Yeah.
Next one comes in from Pig Tosser 66. What position groups were they talking about us trading our depths from again? Oh yeah, the two where we just put 2 starters on IR yesterday. Roster depth is key, fellas, and I couldn't agree more. Now they already did actually cut off some of the depth from the wide receiver position, and now I'll touch wood. They are a little bit in the danger zone. They can't really afford much more from that area. But like we've said earlier in the week, they do have some 3 tight ends that they really trust having out there. That really helps. But again, you don't want to have to change what you like to do because of injuries. And the depth is already being tested. They're lucky that it's happening at positions that they have depth. And don't forget about Natani Muti also, who's probably going to have to step in for Graham Glasgow.
And on top of that, at cornerback as well. I mean, you've lost your depth at these 2 spots. You're fine right now, but I'm touching wood. One more injury to either of those spots, then you are in big trouble potentially. Now, you can shake things around. Like Ryan said, on offense, you can do more 2 tight ends. On defense, you can bring in Justin Strnad to help in the coverage with linebackers. You can bring in Caden Stearns as a safety. But then you are changing who you are and what you do. Remember, still, no Michael Ojemudia. He's a guy that you would feel comfortable about. Okay, we've lost one guy. Now he's our depth. We feel good about that. But you don't have him for the next couple of weeks. So then you're falling back on a rookie, Kerry Vincent Jr.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, this injury to Ronald Darby, this kind of happens at the worst possible time, because it's not just Ojemudia. You're still waiting on a Sang Bassi, who's on the PUP list and isn't even eligible to come back until mid-October. Ojemudia you could have back after a couple more weeks and get him in there by the Ravens game. But Bassi, who you could probably argue played better than Ojemudia at times last year, he's still a little ways off because of his PUP designation. So, yeah, you're in great shape depth-wise as you get into October and November. But right now, this is kind of the moment where you're scrambling a little bit. So just kind of hang in there. Like you said, touch wood. Hope you don't have a further injury at the position in the next 2 to 3 weeks.
Exactly. All right, next one coming in from our guy, Jason17. He says, can't wait to see Pat Surtain II, or is it Junior, out there locking down a Jags wide receiver. Question for y'all. Did Strnad play last week against Giants? Seems like it was mostly Jewell and Johnson. Thanks for all you guys do. Okay, Mase, before you look this up, do you guys know the answer to this?
I do not.
Okay, so Mase, don't look it up. Don't look it up if you haven't. I
Too
want
late.
to see. Do you know? I mean, those eyes are just, I think he's cheating.
I have it right in front of me. So
oh, you pulled it up. I gave you the warning not to.
No, because I looked it up before you said anything. So
because he read the question
because I have the box score in front of me on my desktop. So
boo. Okay, Ryan, how many snaps did Justin Strnad play on defense?
0.
Boom. 0 snaps for him on defense, and just that just shows how much Vic Fangio trusts his older guys. I mean, you look at Josie Jewell, 100% of the snaps. He played every single snap. That is pretty darn incredible for Josie, especially when, everyone thought there was limitations to his game. Vic Fangio said, nope, no limitations there. Alexander Johnson played in 84% of the snaps. And, of course, Justin none.
Don't you think this is a little bit of an L on Vic Fangio's part, especially when you're in control of the game so handily late and you still haven't gotten Justin Strnad any time in an NFL game? It feels like on that last drive, when the defense heart wasn't really in it anyway, you could have gotten Justin Strnad in there and had him get some reps.
Yeah, and that's. It's interesting. I mean, does that just show how Vic Fangio feels about him? I mean, because Justin Strnad got a lot of time in training camp and in the preseason, you would think, and I was pretty darn impressed with him. I think you guys were too. Is there something behind the scenes that maybe isn't clicking? But it even sounded like Vic was satisfied with that too. So yeah, Ryan, I'm certainly getting him playing time and blowouts, and that's why you hope the Broncos are up 27-3 midway through the third in the game, so that you can get these backups some time.
I think the other thing also is that when they go sub package, Vic Fangio likes leaving the linebackers out there much more than having 3 defensive linemen, because actually the Broncos on Sunday only averaged 2.2 defensive linemen per play over the course of the game. Then he trusts those guys into when they go sub. And we did see in camp sometimes where they did go sub packages with 3 D linemen, but last Sunday it was straight up 2 D linemen and leaving Johnson and Jewell out there when they went nickel.
Exactly. And coming in from Blood, Orange, and Blue since 82. Our guy, he says, gentlemen, great day. I want to start by saying thank you all for everything you do. I am truly blessed, honored, and so happy to be part of this amazing community. With that being said, well, and thank you, Blood, Orange, and Blue since 82. We love you right back. He says, with that being said, let's get into it. If you had to give this year's Broncos team a theme song, what would it be and why? You could choose any song from any generation. Appreciate y'all. Congratulations on your expansion. Phoenix is about to be lit.
Yeah, speaking of generation, I'm going to go with a band who is famous for a song with that word in it. And I'm going to go with Won't Be Fooled Again. Because that's where I'm at with the Broncos. Don't want to buy in too soon. It's a show me season. So, the world is saying they won't be fooled again by the Broncos. It's up to the Broncos to put them at ease.
It's up to the Broncos to fool them into not being fooled.
Something like that.
Who's more foolish, the fool or the fool who follows them?
I'm going to go with my favorite song from middle school and high school. Probably listened to it a million times. I'm going The Underdog by Spoon because the Broncos playing a little underdog this year, guys. I could sing the whole thing for you if you want right now.
Zach always has the most obscure things that he likes.
I've never heard of that.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Oh, you're gonna have to. There's literally like spoons in it. Oh man, you get every single instrument. Anyone in the comment section heard of it, or is this like my Chuck moment again, where I look like I'm making something up here? Come on, comment section, like. Help me out here.
Do you like things that have cult followings, Zach?
Crickets.
Although Quinn 92 looked like it had more than a cult following based on the pictures I saw from that concert.
Yes, exactly. He did. Yeah, Hank. I said help me out here, not make me look silly. Oh gosh, Mase, are you gonna?
Anyone else a big fan of spooning? Spoon around a little bit.
Oh, I am. That's for sure.
Oh,
that's yep. Gosh. Oh wow, no one is. Oh my gosh, these are brutal now. Oh, we just gotta wrap up. Mase, anyone for you? Before more comments just keep rolling in about me.
Maybe I'm too optimistic here, but I'm thinking 4-0 start. I'm thinking by the end of that, you're sitting there thinking about Freddie Mercury saying, "Another one's gone, another one's gone, another one bites the dust."
Oh, I thought you were going to say Freddie Mercury saying, "We are the champions."
That's what I thought too.
Get some momentum here. Get a little bit of a groove going,
Okay, so first you start with another one bites the dust,
and I want and I want something kind of like that's that's got a little bit of a pulse to it to kind of think about what you expect the defense to be doing and dominating. I mean, Von Miller had a couple of sacks in week 1. You start getting Bradley Chubb back, you crank up the pass rush, and you're saying, hey, another quarterback goes down, another one bites the dust.
And then winning is just like riding a bicycle.
Yes.
And so you make your way through that. You celebrate with some fat-bottomed girls, and then you make your way all the way to the end where you are the champions.
Yeah,
I love it.
Hopefully it doesn't end like Bohemian Rhapsody, where you're just sitting there. Nothing really matters.
Yeah.
Anyone can see.
That's been Broncos fans for the past couple of years.
Yeah, the last 5 years have been the last 4 years have been Bohemian Rhapsody, no doubt.
That was beautiful. And last one here from Casper says, fellas, I'm calling it now. If and when the secondary is fully healthy, PS2 will still be one of our top 2 corners. How say you? Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. I don't even think that's a 50-yard field goal. I think you're kicking that from like 37 yards. It's a pretty easy one.
So Darby gets Wally pipped. He's out of the lineup.
Or what if Kyle Fuller, he goes against the Tyreek Hill, gets beat. He goes against some other fast receivers, gets beat. He got beat, by Sterling Shepard, 42 yards, and just can't keep up. Maybe you're using him more as a situational guy.
Okay, makes sense.
I mean, he did still have 6 tackles on Sunday, so
Yeah, situational. You put him inside.
okay.
I'm interested.
A lot of money for a situational guy.
I hope Pat Surtain plays lights out every game. I think there's going to be a little bit of rookie rust that he has to shake off as he gets his head into the NFL. So we'll see what happens. But I do think he's going to be a big part of the defense no matter what.
And speaking of lights out, guys, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. All right, and we on that note, we're out of here. But guys, check out our friends over at Green Mountain Dental. We're the best damn family-owned dentistry in the metro area. And if you end a show like that, you may need to get your mouth cleaned after that. And if you schedule a X-ray and exam, you'll get a free Sonicare toothbrush. Guys, that's all you have to do. You're going to the dentist anyways, so might as well get a free Sonicare toothbrush in the process. Supporting our partners is supporting us, so you also help us out, and you support a family dentistry in Denver. And on top of that, guys, they're only a 15-minute drive from downtown Denver, so make sure to check them out. You'll get hooked up with the free Sonicare toothbrush from our friends over at Green Mountain Dental if you schedule that cleaning, X-ray, and exam. But guys, I've loved this show. Thank you for rolling with us. Thank you guys for your live comments, your comments on the DNVR.com. For Ryan, for Mase, I'm Zac Stevens. Thank you guys so much. We'll be live after the game to break it all down. Have a fantastic weekend. See ya.